Welcome to Haunted Earth, where true stories are kept alive, where traces remain unexplained, and where journeys cross the line between the living and the dead. Today, I will tell you a story, one that, for many years, none of the survivors dared to speak of. A story that was never turned into a film, one with no conclusion, and those involved, not all of them returned. In 2019, 3 Americans traveled to Thailand to begin a documentary project called Haunted Asia. They brought cameras, scripts, and an ambition to uncover forgotten places. But what they didn't realize was this. The places they chose weren't just abandoned. They were places where memory had never been laid to rest, where sleep never ran deep, and where not everyone who left was counted among the living. This is the story of 3 places. A house with 3 graves in the living room, an unfinished skyscraper, and a train station where time has stood still since 1971. It began in Bangkok, on a moonless night. This happened. All 3 of them arrived in Bangkok in the summer of 2019. And during that trip, they spent a night in a house where 3 tombs lay embedded in the living room floor. The house was old, tucked away in a narrow alley near the Pratunam market. Rusted gates, mold-covered walls, and windows sealed with old wooden shutters. The owner, an elderly Thai-Chinese man, lived alone. He pointed at the 3 headstones and simply said, "My father, my mother, my sister. We had no money to bury them elsewhere." 1 large tombstone, 1 medium, 1 small. The names on them were etched in faded Thai script, barely legible. That night, Jack slept on a sofa just steps away from the tombs. Amy and Leo stayed upstairs. They set up night vision cameras and recording equipment. At 3:12 a.m., the camera in the living room flickered on by itself. In the frame, a white shadow glided quickly behind Jack, who remained asleep, unmoving. Leo awoke screaming. He swore something had brushed his hair and whispered beside his ear in a voice he couldn't understand. Amy checked the footage and confirmed. Something, or someone, had passed through. The next morning, the homeowner said calmly, "Not everyone sees it, only the ones it chooses." From that day, Leo changed. He stopped sleeping, began sketching the same figure over and over again. A woman with long black hair covering her face, holding a broken comb, always standing over the smallest grave. Jack, meanwhile, slept peacefully. No nightmares, no memories of war, just deep, undisturbed rest. Amy wasn't comforted. She had seen the camera footage. Every night Jack slept, something stood behind him. Locals around the area recalled strange stories. Guests going mad, objects shifting on their own, the sound of laughter and crying from beneath the floor. One person claimed their tea turned blood red while sitting alone in that house. On their last night there, Amy lit 3 candles, 1 on each tomb. She whispered a goodbye ritual she had learned from an old Tibetan monk. When the 3rd flame lit, the lights in the house cut out. The windows burst open, cold wind swept through. A child's voice cried faintly from the hallway. Leo curled up, shivering. Jack sat upright, eyes wide, staring into the dark. Amy caught the final moment on camera. A pale figure behind Jack, head tilted, listening closely to his breath. By morning, they left. Leo didn't speak. Amy deleted nearly everything from the hard drive. Only one image remained, a still frame of 3 tombs, and the faint silhouette of a woman brushing her hair. Jack looked back once before they drove away. He didn't look scared. He looked unsure. A week later, they entered Sathorn Unique Tower, an abandoned skyscraper in central Bangkok. Construction began in the early 92nd, but was halted by the Asian financial crisis in 1997. Since then, the tower had become infamous for deaths, disappearances, and whispers of haunting. Leo insisted they go. Despite everything, he said it felt right. The tower was decaying. Broken elevators, exposed wires, cracked walls. They climbed to the 27th floor, the level where a woman allegedly live-streamed her suicide, but whose body was never found. As Amy set up her camera, Jack stood by the broken window, looking down at the city below. Leo said he felt someone calling his name from the upper floors. Then the malfunctions began. Brand new batteries drained instantly. Leo's camera displayed the error. Echo detected. Try again. Amy's footage showed the wrong floor. It displayed the basement, even though they were on the 27th. In the background, a woman in white dragging what looked like chains. Later, when they descended into the real basement, the air turned metallic. The walls were covered with charcoal markings of headless figures. On one concrete column, someone had written in red paint, "All sound remains." When they returned upstairs, Leo was missing for 7 minutes. When he came back, his pupils were dilated. His voice was calm. I spoke with her. She asked if I'd stay in her place. That night, Amy's camera turned on by itself and played a clip from the tower. A woman sitting silently on the 27th floor ledge, unmoving. Leo didn't sleep again. Next, they traveled to Poipet, the border town between Thailand and Cambodia. There, they sought out a forgotten train station where time had stopped in 1971. A young woman had once thrown herself onto the tracks in her wedding dress. Her body was recovered. Her head was not. The station was in ruins, ivy covered, clock frozen at 1711. Static came from broken speakers. Dust covered everything. And yet, someone had lit incense there recently. Leo said nothing as they filmed. He wandered. Then he disappeared for nearly an hour. When Jack found him, Leo stood inside a rusted train car, eyes shut, humming a Khmer lullaby. "She showed me the place where the heads are kept," he whispered. "She's looking for someone willing." Amy dismissed it as psychosis, until she reviewed Leo's camera. The final clip showed the tracks. Hundreds of white ribbons tied across the entrance. At the end of the video, a headless bride, standing motionless. Leo vanished the next morning. His camera and notebook were left on the hotel desk. Beside them, a printed photo. Amy standing in the station, and behind her, a woman in a white dress, no head, very close. Amy and Jack returned to Bangkok. No more filming, no more planning. But Jack contacted a former royal spiritual advisor, an old monk now living in solitude near Nonthaburi. The monk told them the truth. The 3 places form a triangle. You didn't awaken ghosts. You disturbed something ancient, a wound in the ground, not a doorway, but a fracture. To seal it, everything had to be destroyed, not just deleted, burned, in the same house where it began. They returned to the house with the 3 graves. They lit a fire, burned the cameras, sketches, tapes, and photos. Jack said he saw Leo standing in the corner, eyes wide, silent. The fire went out on its own. The monk whispered, "It doesn't want to leave, but now it knows you understand." Amy left the country. Jack disappeared. 6 months later, Amy received a package with no return address. Inside, a photo of Leo, standing in the same house, smiling, holding his camera. He had stayed. The project Haunted Asia was never released. No one saw the footage. No one tried to recreate it. Amy stopped filming. Jack was spotted in northern Thailand, barefoot, living in a monastery, no phone, no voice. Some say they were chosen. Others say they were warned. One thing remains. Not everyone who leaves ever truly comes back. And not everyone gets to choose whether they stay or go.